Hi, it's Katherine Norland. I had somebody reach out to me. His name is Tarek. He's 15 years old, and he was telling me that he has a huge problem, that he's had some kind of childhood trauma, and whatever childhood trauma that he went through, it's caused him to become a stutterer. You know, someone who can't always get their words out, or they repeat the words, or they have to start to say the word a few times before it comes out. You probably know what that is. Well, he says he hates it. He says he can't even say his name or certain words, and he can't read in school, and he has a dream, and his dream is to be an actor for Darman Studios. Well, he said he doesn't want to do that because he's afraid that he will basically make a fool out of himself. And I just wanted to say, whatever issue you're going through in life, maybe it's not stuttering, maybe that's not your thing, but you don't have to let something like that stop you. And there's many people who have not let it stop them. So he's asking me for advice because he doesn't want to go out and pursue his dreams for fear of, being embarrassed if it doesn't work out. There's things you can do to try to improve the situation, okay? And I'm going to give you 11 tips that I think will help improve your stuttering situation. Now, I'm not a doctor, but you asked me for advice, so this is the advice I would give you if we were having a conversation. So I took some notes. First thing I would do if I was dealing with a stuttering issue is sometimes stuttering, you're so tired of false starts and not being able to get the words out that you have the tendency to want to speak faster. You want to speak because you just kind of like you want to get it over with. You want to just get out what you have to say. But the first tip I would say to help with your stuttering is to slow down. Slow down your speech. Okay, the second tip I would give you is to practice with a friend. Have a friend, have an accountability partner that you can, get together with and say, hey, can I practice this speech with you? Maybe you have to get up and introduce yourself in front of class, or talk about your science project, or do whatever. Have a friend, accountability partner, someone that you can practice with, so you can get, kind of get the nerves out of your system, and, so it'll go much smoother when you do have to do something in class. Also, number 3, I would tell you to practice mindfulness. Being mindful of what you're saying and how you're saying it, and thinking in advance of the words you want to say. Don't just kind of speak whatever comes to mind, but think in advance. Like, be mindful of how you're saying it. Be mindful of the words that you're going to say. Another helpful hint, I would say number 4, would be record yourself. Like I'm doing now. Just get out your phone and record yourself speaking, or record yourself reading. And what that's going to do is it will sometimes reveal to you unconscious speech patterns that you might have. You might not know that you have like a certain pattern of speech. The reason you want to record it is so you can play it back and study it. Just like pro athletes sometimes record the game, then they play it back to see, where could I have done better? What did I miss? How did I get this wrong? How can I improve this? Recording yourself speaking and playing it back so that you can maybe over time recognize, oh, you know what? It's always when I say the words that have a TH. I notice that is words I do that on. And when you start to notice speech patterns, you can find ways to work around them. If you're writing a report that you're going to have to read, and there's certain words that start with TH, or whatever your words are that you maybe find that you're stuttering over the most, that's a time to go look in the dictionary and see, until I can figure out how to say that properly without studying, what are some other words that have a TH in, what are some words I can use instead? And finding out other words that you can maybe use until you do get that handled. The fifth thing I would say to do is look for treatments, look for different things. People are always finding new treatments when there's issues going on. And while you're doing that research, there's probably people out there who've successfully overcome. Well, I know there are, because I made a list of some of these people. Where's that list? Somewhere. I made a list of a few famous people who are stutterers to give you some hope that you can still become something great of yourself, even if you're a stutterer. Okay, so what did I say? Look into treatments and look at what other people have done. Look up other people's articles, blogs, YouTube videos. What were the tricks that they used to get over it? Don't just stay stuck in paralysis over it. Don't stay stuck in, where the difficulties. Keep pressing and looking for a solution. Other people have had success. You can do what they did to gain success. Okay, number 6. This is similar to number 1, which is slow down. But number 6 is focus on your breathing. Sometimes just the art of focusing on your breathing and meditating is going to not only help you slow down, but be really mindful of what you're about to say. Are you getting enough air? Are you getting enough breath for what you're saying? And even just when meditating isn't necessarily doing yoga or saying om. Sometimes it's just, it's focusing on one thing and thinking about it. Okay? So what is it is there something that you can focus on and think about, over and over that helps you get to a better place when you're speaking? I would say one of the things you can focus on, which I have listed in number 8, I'll get to. Okay, number 7. Now this one is going to seem hard, especially when you say you hate your stutterer, you're embarrassed by your stutter, all of that stuff. But number 7 is put yourself out in social situations. I know that's going to sound crazy and you don't want to do it because you feel like you can't even introduce yourself. You feel like you can't even say your name without stuttering. But you know what? I find there's a lot more people out there when they know someone is struggling. There's a lot more people out there who are kind and compassionate than there are people who are going to make fun of you. There's a few that will make fun of you, yes. The problem is we seem to focus on the people that make fun of us rather than focusing on the people who are kind and compassionate and supportive. But put yourself out in social situations because that will help you to get rid of your fear. It's going to force you to get over things by getting that practice in, and it'll help you become comfortable with yourself. Okay, number 8. Number 8, you can focus on your articulation. You know what? Articulation is all about how we maneuver our mouths. Sometimes, I was just practicing an example of over-articulation. Sometimes, it's super hard to understand Timothy, my 13-year-old son, and my 3-year-old son, actually, to be honest. He was in speech a couple days a week getting speech lessons, but then when COVID happened, all the speech services stopped. So people don't know what he's saying anymore. So one of the things that we focus on, that you can focus on, is articulation and how you manipulate your mouth. So this is something you can practice at home. It's not something necessarily you're going to do in front of other people, but practicing over articulation will help you maneuver your mouth. It's like exercise for your mouth. Just like your muscles need exercise, working on articulation of your mouth, and when you're at home practicing, over articulate, because that will lead on into helping people understand you better and helping you get the words out, just in case your particular stuttering issue might have something to do with a physical thing. I know there's many different reasons that people have stuttering, and I just thought of a 12th idea. Okay, I'm writing it down. Okay, so number 9, read out loud daily. I know we have a tendency not to want to talk when we have a stuttering problem, but reading out loud daily, you know what, that actually goes hand in hand with number 8, articulation. As you read out loud, over articulate those words, but read out loud daily. I mean, my acting coaches and, people in the Hollywood acting, whether you have a stutter or not, they say you should read out loud every single day. All right, number 10 would be reduce your stress. Sometimes anxiety will worsen a stuttering problem. Honestly, anxiety worsens every problem. I don't care what it is or what you're going through. Anxiety worsens everything. All right, so reduce your stress. Whatever techniques, if you need to go online and look up ways to reduce your stress, do that. Number 11 is pray. You know what? Pray to God about your issues. Tell him what you're facing. Let him know everything. Let him know your hurt, your pain, your sorrow, and tell him your desires. Tell him your desires to get it taken away, to be whole again, I'm going to take that back, and I don't mean to be whole again like you're broken or there's a piece of you missing, but I mean to be whole with yourself, for you to feel whole, and that doesn't have anything to do with whatever issue you're facing. So I didn't mean for it to come out in a way that meant you were lacking something, because you're not. Your stutter is no surprise to God, okay? And he doesn't think you're lacking anything. But when I say be whole, that goes with number 12, which is make peace with yourself. So sometimes when we do all this work, it can get better. And sometimes when we pray, God can take away the thing we're wanting taken away, and he can make things better. But sometimes God chooses not to, and he's got his reasons for that. And sometimes we don't understand, and it doesn't make sense, and we just want to be normal, or we just want to be like everybody else. But I'm telling you, you have to make peace with yourself. And this is a twofold thing. It's not just make peace with you. So I want you to make peace with having the stutter. It may be that the stutter doesn't go away, right? The Apostle Paul writes about how he had a thorn in his side. That could have been like a metaphor. We don't know what issue the Apostle Paul was dealing with, but he talked about how he prayed to God 3 times to take this thorn in his side away. And instead, God just told him, my grace is sufficient for you. So whether God takes away your stutter, whether any of these exercises work for you, or whether anything you research or look up, any treatments, whether they work or not, you have to make peace with yourself. You have to love yourself where you're at. And even in order to get better, you have to love yourself where you're at and accept yourself. The thorn in your side, the stutter in your mouth, it may go away, but it may not go away. And you have to be at peace no matter what it happens. You can't feel like your life is no good, your life is incomplete, you're never going to amount to anything if you don't get rid of the stutter. Okay? And I guess number 13, seek professional help. Now, that might not only mean professional help with like a speech therapist, because they have a lot of good tips and tricks, but it might mean professional help by a psychologist or a psychiatrist. So when I said make peace with yourself is 2 parts, the second part is about making peace with your past. Tarek, you mentioned something about childhood trauma. You have to make peace with whatever happened in your childhood. and you have to be able to let it go. And sometimes holding on to trauma from our childhood that may be the cause of what you're going through, right? Sometimes my friend, her son had something terrible happen to him at school, and he started wetting his bed like for the next year. It was a response to the trauma that he went through, just like your stutter could be a response to what you're going through. So number 12, make peace with yourself. Number 13, get professional help. You may have to dig into your past, and you could do that by yourself, or maybe you want to speak to a therapist. Maybe it's something you pray to God about and you journal and you write down, this is what happened to me, this is how I feel about it. God, help me forgive these people. Help me be able to let it go. Don't let this affect my life anymore. Whatever, just, it's going to take some soul searching. This might not happen overnight. But I want to tell you, it doesn't mean you're resigned to a life that's inferior. Now, if you go on Wikipedia and you type in famous people who had stutters, because that's what I did to give you a little hope, there was hundreds of people. I just picked out a couple. Prime Minister Winston Churchill, super famous person. A lot of great quotes. He did a lot of great stuff, and he made a huge difference. King George the Sixth. Did you see the movie The King's Speech? That was made about him when he got help with his stuttering. All right, a couple famous actors, Marilyn Monroe and Bruce Willis, both stutterers. All right, athlete, Will Chamberlain, famous basketball player, right? Joe Biden, the president of America, has a stutter. Singer, Elvis Presley, had a stutter. Famous Greek philosopher, Aristotle, had a stutter. Charles Darwin had a stutter. And famous actor James Earl Jones had a stutter. Not only was he able to overcome it and get over his stutter for the most part, he became famous for his voice, right? Guys, he was the voice of Darth Vader. So Tarek, there is no telling what you will be able to do. And you're not limited by your stutter. You're only limited by what you allow yourself to believe. You can go on to do great things, but you have to decide that you're going to do great things, whether your stutter is cured or whether it's not cured. The only thing stopping you from making history like these people are the thoughts you choose to think. So what are you going to think about? You got this. Live true, love hard, shine bright.